You ever look at someone you've known for years and suddenly feel like you're staring at a stranger? That's how it started with Jenna. At first, it was small. She'd linger longer in front of mirrors before our neighborhood walks. Her texts got shorter, her laugh louder, especially in public. She was distant at home, but a damn actress when we were out, looping her arm through mine like we were newlyweds. I thought I was imagining things until the night she left her phone face up on the couch and forgot it. She was in the shower. I wasn't looking for trouble. But when her screen lit up with a notification from someone saved as wellness coach and the preview said last night was perfect, can't stop thinking about you, my hands moved before my brain caught up. The folder was buried in her notes app, titled Meal Planning. I tapped. Inside were voice recordings. Him whispering things, her giggling. Hotel receipts, dated back months, photos of them together, some innocent, others far from it. One picture had her wearing the same smile she used in our Christmas card. I didn't say a word. I just stared at the screen, her digital shrine to a life I wasn't part of. Every carefully cropped photo, every pixelated lie, stacked like bricks in a wall she'd been building behind my back. And yet, I didn't confront her. Not that night. Because I realized something. Jenna wasn't just cheating. She was performing, curating. She'd made our lives a showroom display. Perfect house, perfect marriage, perfect social posts. In the same place she crafted that lie, the neighborhood Facebook group where she posted our date night pics and swapped banana bread recipes, would be the perfect stage to tear it all down. I'm not a man who posts much. The last time I used the group, it was to return a lost dog. But this time, I had something else to return, the truth. So I began collecting screenshots, call logs, voice memos, every receipt, every fake smile, every carefully curated lie. I wasn't going to raise my voice. I wasn't going to cause a scene in our kitchen. No. I was going to do something Jenna never expected. I was going to let the whole neighborhood decide who she really was. The next morning, Jenna was humming in the kitchen like nothing had changed. Wearing her lemon Miranda robe, she sipped oat milk from a crystal glass like some queen of domestic bliss. She smiled at me as I walked and even kissed me on the cheek. Her phone buzzed twice while she buttered toast. She didn't even glance at it. That's how confident she was. How careless. She thought she had me exactly where she wanted me. Silent, predictable, neutered. That's the thing about people who spend their lives curating perfection. They start believing their own edits. Jenna didn't realize I was watching, not just the phone or the schedule changes or the late meetings that somehow always ended with a shower. I was watching her, and I was done playing dumb. When she posted our date night selfie that Friday evening, it was almost comical. She picked a photo from a dinner 2 weeks earlier, the one where she insisted I wear the gray shirt because it matched her eyes. I remember feeling awkward that night, her hand too tight around my arm, her laughter just a decibel too high. Now I know why. That photo wasn't about us. It was about her brand. In the caption, she wrote, "Nothing like a little sushi and laughter with my favorite person, grateful to still laughing." She hit post and went back to watching her baking show like she just mailed a thank you note to the universe. I watched the likes roll in. Neighbors, PTA moms, the same ones who commented on her outfit choices, who came to her brunches and believed she was the embodiment of suburban grace. What none of them knew was that hours before she posted that smiling photo, I sat alone in our den, listening to a voice note where she called another man the only one who makes me feel seen. Her voice was soft, giggly, vulnerable in a way I hadn't heard in years. It wasn't just sex. She had rewritten her love story and given the leading role to someone else. That night, I stayed up late in my office. I created a folder titled Reality Check and dragged everything into it. Photos of her with him at hotels, voice notes saved from her phone, text exchanges that read like chapters in a romance novel. I even included a screenshot of her meal planning folder, as if that title didn't make the whole thing even more absurd. But the post, I didn't rush it. I crafted it like a memoirist, not a man out for blood. I wanted clarity, not chaos, no shouting, no profanity, no accusations, just the truth laid bare. The neighborhood Facebook group wasn't made for drama. It was a place where people talked about carpooling and missing cats and where to buy the best sourdough. That's what made it perfect, because the people there weren't strangers, they were her stage, the very audience she performed for. And now they would be the witnesses to her fall. Before hitting post, I read the message one more time. It opened like a thank you note. For everyone who's admired our marriage from afar, I thought you deserved the full picture. And then I laid it out how the woman many looked up to for her curated perfection had quietly built a second life behind closed doors. I attached everything, and at the bottom a single line: I won't confront her. I'll let you all decide who you really know. I hit posts, and then I waited, not for her, for them. The post had barely been up 5 minutes before the first comment dropped. It was from Carol Jensen, the self-appointed queen of the cul-de-sac HOA, a woman who'd once made a spreadsheet about lawn ornament regulations. Oh my God, Brian. I'm so sorry, this can't be real, but it was real, all of it. By the 10-minute mark, the likes were climbing into the hundreds. People weren't just reacting, they were reading every word, every screenshot, every audio file I'd uploaded. Neighbors I barely knew were messaging me privately, some offering sympathy, others stunned into silence. Jenna's perfect suburban empire was cracking in real time, and I wasn't doing anything to stop it. That was the point. Not to refresh obsessively. I didn't need to. My phone buzzed every few seconds like a slot machine that only paid out in retribution. Somewhere in the house, Jenna was folding towels or scrolling through recipes, completely unaware that her social life was melting from the inside out. The irony wasn't lost on me. She had always prided herself on being the glue of the community, but now the glue was cracking, and people were starting to peel away. About an hour later, Jenna's phone rang. She didn't answer it. She was still in her robe, sitting cross-legged on the couch, watching a baking tutorial like it was any other Saturday afternoon. Then it buzzed. Again. This time, she checked the screen. Her smile faltered. The next 5 minutes were a slow mission unraveling. Her expression moved from curious to confused, then from confusion to panic. She tapped frantically at her phone, scrolling, swiping, flipping between apps. I heard her mutter, "What the hell?" followed by no, no, no. She didn't look at me, not once. When she finally opened the Facebook group, I watched her freeze. She stared at the post like it was a bomb someone had left on our doorstep. And in a way, it was. A digital grenade lobbed with surgical precision. Her fingers hovered over the screen like she wanted to delete it, but of course, she couldn't. The group wasn't hers to control. That was the beauty of it. It was public enough to sting, but personal enough to cut deep. And now it was out of her hands? I could see her chest rise and fall as she read through the comments. People she'd smiled at during block parties were now quoting her own texts back to her. One of them wrote, "So disappointed, you always seem like someone to admire." Another asked, "Was your entire account just a lie?" Someone even posted a meme which felt cruel, but I let it stand. She'd built her brand on performative sincerity. A little mockery felt appropriate. She stood abruptly and walked to the kitchen, muttering something about needing air. But when she opened the sliding glass door, she paused because our next-door neighbor, Dana, was in the yard. Dana, who'd once nominated Jenna for Mom of the Month on that very same Facebook group. Dana looked up, gave her the faintest nod, then turned her back and went inside. That moment hit harder than any insult. Jenna closed the door quietly and leaned against the counter like someone had just pulled the floor out from under her. Her phone buzzed again and again. Then came the DMs. They stacked up so fast, I watched the red notification bubble go from 2 digits to 3 in a matter of minutes. And she didn't open them. She just stood there staring at the screen like if she blinked, the whole thing might go away. But it wouldn't, not this time. Because now the truth wasn't locked in a phone or whispered in hotel rooms. It was pinned to the top of the neighborhood page for everyone to see. Jenna didn't speak to me that evening. Not a word. She didn't ask why I did it. She didn't storm off. She didn't even scream. She simply moved through the house like a ghost. Her phone clutched in one hand, face pale and unreadable. Every few minutes, I'd hear another ding, ding, another unread message sliding into her DMs, another chip falling from the fragile tower of her persona. I made dinner for myself, just a grilled cheese and soup, and ate it in silence while she stood at the kitchen window, motionless. Occasionally, I'd see her scroll, hesitate, then scroll again. She looked like someone trying to wake up from a dream, except this time she was wide awake. And the life she'd curated, the illusion she wrapped herself in like a silk robe, was now unraveling thread by thread. Around 9:42 p.m., the twist arrived. It came quietly, just another notification among dozens, but this one changed everything. I was sitting in the living room when I saw the message pop up on my own Facebook Messenger from a name I didn't recognize, Aaron Walters. No mutual friends, no profile picture, just a gray silhouette and a name I couldn't place. At first, I almost ignored it, but something about the timing made me curious. I opened the message. "Hi, Brian. I debated sending this, but I saw your post in the group and I need to say thank you. I've been trying to figure out who my husband's been cheating with for months. Tonight, I finally found out it's Jenna." My stomach dropped. I read the message twice, then a third time. Slowly, the words clicked into place. "He's the man in the green tie from the photo you posted, the one at the hotel lobby. That's my husband, Marcus. I saw her name on our phone records, but couldn't prove anything until now. If you ever want to talk, I'm here, and again, thank you. You didn't just expose your wife, you helped me see mine for who he really is, too." I set the phone down, stunned. Jenna hadn't just been cheating, she'd been doing it with someone who was also betraying his family, someone with a whole other life, and another woman at home feeling just as gaslit, just as hollowed out as I'd been. It wasn't some reckless fling with a stranger. It was a tangled web of deception that stretched further than I'd realized. I got up and walked into the kitchen. Jenna was still standing there, back turned to me, her reflection dim in the window. "Does the name Aaron Walters mean anything to you?" I asked, my voice calm. She didn't move, but I saw her shoulders stiffen, just slightly. "No," she said after a beat, too quickly. She says her husband's name is Marcus, wears a green tie. Sound familiar now? That time, she didn't answer at all. I waited, letting the silence stretch until it was heavy enough to force her to turn around. Her face told me everything. The flicker of recognition, the guilt, the fear of what else I might know. She didn't deny it, not this time. "You weren't just sneaking around," I said. "You were helping someone else lie too. You two had this whole little fantasy while the rest of us were wondering what we did wrong." "I didn't know he was married," she whispered, finally. "Sure you didn't," I replied coldly. "That's why you kept his name out of your phone, right? Just called him wellness coach? Just like you tucked every lie behind those yoga selfies and inspirational quotes." She sat down at the kitchen table, her hands shaking, but it didn't matter anymore. Because now the damage was layered. Her betrayal wasn't just personal, it was communal. She hadn't just lost her image, she dragged someone else's life down with hers. And the neighborhood, they weren't just watching anymore. They were turning on her. The post stayed pinned. For a week, I watched it ride the algorithm like a storm cloud hanging low over our cul-de-sac. Comments didn't stop. They evolved. At first, people were stunned, then curious, then divided. Some quietly unfriended Jenna. Others publicly condemned her with clipped, passive-aggressive remarks. A few still tried to play peacekeeper, but their efforts drowned in the flood of screenshots and facts. Jenna, for her part, never made a statement. She didn't post, didn't comment, didn't try to clear her name. She became a ghost in her own empire. Her last date night photo was still on her feed, a monument to the lie that shattered everything. She tried going to the coffee shop 2 blocks down, the one where she used to order oat milk lattes and hold court with the neighborhood moms. But when she walked in, the barista didn't greet her. The women at the corner table went silent. No smiles, no small talk. Just the quiet weight of exposure. She left with her drink untouched. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. The truth had done its job better than I ever could. I wasn't looking for vengeance, I was looking for clarity, and now I had it. That following Sunday, I logged into the Facebook group one last time. I didn't post anything. Just click leave group. No dramatic exit, no parting message. The post remained pinned at the top, frozen like a digital scar. I left it there because I didn't need to keep explaining. I already said what mattered. To the people who once saw us as perfect and now saw the truth. Jenna never said a word to me about the post. We lived under the same roof for a few more weeks in mutual silence, her facade crumbling in quiet corners, less makeup, more empty wine bottles, fewer calls from friends. I didn't speak, but I didn't need to. Every unread message in her inbox was louder than anything I could say. Truth doesn't need volume, it just needs light. And once you let it out, it never goes back into the dark.